testing. Unfortunately, one of the last and honestly most frustrating steps in web development is testing your website, because there's nothing worse than having everything look good on your side, but then having your client ping you saying that it's broken on their computer. Nowadays, people are surfing the web on ultra-wide high-pixel density screens, laptops, iPhones, Androids, tablets, mini tablets, who knows? Maybe someone's loading your website on a Steam Deck. So we have to test to make sure your website is usable and looks good on different viewports, browsers, and devices, because there may be bugs that only happen in specific cases. And if you don't test, you'll never know there's a problem until it's too late. Fortunately, there's a way that you can load your local website on a mobile device and have all your code changes show up pretty much instantaneously. And best of all, it's free. All you need is your computer, a mobile device to test on, and a Wi-Fi connection. I'll show you how to set this up in this video, so let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to start with a website that I'm working on locally. And this is actually the website that you'll learn how to build in my upcoming course, Responsive Design for Beginners. I'm hoping it's going to be ready and launched in maybe the spring of 2023. So thank you again for all of your patience waiting for this course. I know a lot of you are waiting for it. Anyway, so I'm going to run this website on a local server using the VS Code Live Server extension. And if you don't have that installed yet, you can go to the extensions menu here on the left, type in Live Server, and then you're going to want to install this extension here, Live Server by Ritwik Day. Has a ton of downloads. And if you don't have it installed, this button here is going to say install, and you can just click on it to install it. Now, once you do have it installed, you should be able to see this Go Live button that's down in the bottom. And if you don't see it, just try to close and reopen VS Code and it should appear. So once you have the extension up and working, let's click the Go Live button and run this website locally. All right, so now you should be able to see your website. Now, again, this is on my laptop. How do you load the website on your phone? So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have your phone connected to the same Wi-Fi or other network that your computer is connected to. This is really important because the devices need to be connected to the same network in order for any of this to work. So next up, you're going to need to figure out what IP your local server is running on. Now, on your own computer that's running the server, it can load its own local server by using localhost or the IP address 127.0.0.1, along with whatever port's being used. However, these addresses will only work for the computer itself and not other devices. So what you need is the internal IP address that your network router is using. They're usually going to start with a number like 192.168 and then two more numbers separated by dots. And this IP address is only going to be accessible if you're connected to that actual local network, either by Wi-Fi or Ethernet cable. And it's not going to be publicly accessible over the internet. Now, to find your internal IP address on Windows, you're going to want to open a terminal window. So what I usually do is in VS Code, I'm going to open the integrated terminal. You can do that with Control tilde or Control backtick. And then on the command line, type in ipconfig, press enter, and then you should see a bunch of IP addresses. So what you're looking for is it'll say, wireless, Wi-Fi, and you want to find the IPv4 address. In our case, it is 192.168.0.230. You're probably going to have a different one from me. I think the number sort of depends on what router company you're using. And for Macs, you can do a similar thing by opening a terminal window. I don't have a Mac, but you can open a terminal window and type in ipconfig get if addr and then en0. And then it should return your internal IP address. Now, once you have that number, make sure that your local server is currently running, which ours is, and then on your phone, open a browser window and type in the internal IP address and the port that your local server is running on. So if all goes well, you should be able to see your local website on your phone. Now, if you're using Windows and the website isn't loading for some reason, and instead you're seeing an error that says something like, "This site can't be reached," don't worry, you might just need to adjust your firewall settings to allow connections via this port that your local server is running on. So to do that, from the Windows menu, click Search and type in Windows Defender and then Windows Defender Firewall is what you want to open. So we have that open, and then what you want to do is click on Advanced Settings, and then that should open up a new window here, which I'll show you. And then you want to click on Inbound Rules, and then add a new rule here in the right sidebar. So now with the new Inbound Rule Wizard, what you want to do is add a port, then click Next, TCP, and then you're going to want to select specific local ports. So I'm going to add the 5500 port that the live server extension is running. And I'm also going to add 3000 because when I use my Gulp workflow with Browser Sync, it's going to use the port 3000. So once you have those ports entered in, click Next. And then I'm just going to say allow the connection. And you don't want to always allow connections, especially if you're going to be in public. I'm going to uncheck the public box. And then I'm also just going to uncheck domain since I've set my home Wi-Fi to be a private network. So generally just make sure you don't have, your public network checked, because otherwise if you're in a coffee shop doing this, then someone else could potentially load your website. So once you have those selected, click Next, and then type name. I'm just going to say local testing, and then click the Finish button. And then now you should see up in the top, you have your new local testing inbound rule all set up. So once you have this working, you can try to reload the local website on your phone, and it should work. And the cool thing is that when you make a change in your code, the website's automatically also going to refresh on your phone. So let's try this out. So I'm going to change the text in the headline here. So let's go back to VS Code. I'm just going to say testing with a couple exclamation points, and then let's just add a line break for a new line. Then I'm going to save. And now on my browser, you can see that it says testing. And if you look on the phone, it should also have the exact same change, which is pretty cool. So this is super helpful because when you're doing local development, being able to see your code changes right away instead of having to deploy to a staging server is going to save a lot of time, and it's going to not make it as annoying as it could be otherwise. So anyway, I hope that this video can help you when you're doing local development and make testing your website a little bit less painful. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.